Monfalcone, the most northerly place on the Adriatic coast, a liberation parade greets the passage of the advancing New Zealand division. The division is speeding through to its appointed post in Trieste, clearing up German remnants on the way. In Monfalcone, General Freiberg meets the young General Bosnar, commander of the Yugoslavian 9th Corps, who already fought their way through the Trieste region. But there are still enemy forces to be accounted for. Starting from their brilliant Senio River breakthrough, this last great left hook round the head of the Adriatic Sea has been a fighting advance of increasing speed for the New Zealand artillery, engineers, infantry, and armor. The Senio, the Saturno, past Bologna to the Panano and Po, a whole welter of river barriers. Across the Adige to receive the surrender of the forces in the region of Padua and Venice, and then over the Piave and over the Tagliamento for the final dash to Monfalcone and the appointed post in Trieste. With everyone friendly, the division pulls out from rejoicing Monfalcone to make its last advance in Italy. A squadron of Sherman tanks forms the armored Spearhead. While the town rejoiced, something rather larger than a mopping-up operation had been going on to the rear, involving an armed force of 6,000 Germans. Soldiers at the mouth of the Tagliamento River had been reinforced by German sailors and marines attempting to escape from Trieste. The small ships they came in were beached here, some striking mines on the way in. Ultimately, all 6,000 men surrendered to New Zealand's 21st Battalion, giving to our infantry the distinction of capturing 13 small ships, minesweepers, mine layers, patrol boats, and flak lighters. The German commander has been brought back out here. With Prussian gestures, he points out where food may be found to feed the 6,000 new prisoners of war whom our boys have captured. He also takes the opportunity to salvage some of his personal gear. The Kiwis, who've come to these parts without much personal luggage and don't know how long they may stay, look out for a few bargain items to make their visit more comfortable. There are all sorts of novelties around Monfalcone to interest the men who remain there. These are fascist one-man submarines, slightly damaged by demolition charges, but otherwise all ready for running down into the sea. The Army's yachtsmen find quite a few interesting things left lying about. In northern Italy, the rejoicing goes on as the main body of the division goes through village after village. Italy, local partisans honor Marshal Tito of Yugoslavia, and his picture chances to float above the head of our own general. Now there's some resistance ahead, and the general watches his Shermans push out across the limestone outcrops to deal with it. What resistance there is to our advance is weak now. There is no need to risk unarmored lives. A German officer refuses to give up his sidearms and is searched, the only incident in a surrender. The prisoners are marched back to the cages. A blazing German truck makes the road dangerous. The only thing to do is to drive it off the road. So, in spring weather, to the great port of Trieste, to the position assigned to the New Zealand division in the plans of Mediterranean Command. But to approach Trieste from the west is to approach a frontier, and in Europe, to approach a frontier is to approach trouble. Wall inscriptions in Serbian and Italian gave a hint of rivalry, but writing polite remarks on walls is a game Kiwis can play too. The tanks make Trieste, where the Germans are still resisting. An intelligence officer's jeep guides the armor down to the port area. The port of Trieste is vital to the Allied advance into Austria, but Yugoslav reinforcements are marching in too, and their country is laying claim to this city. After the last war, Italians seized the next port round the coast, Fiume. Now Yugoslavia has won Fiume back, and the tough boys and girls from the Balkans have marched in here to claim this Italian port too as theirs. High German officers surrender to the New Zealanders. To outside observers, it seemed that the New Zealanders represented Britain and America, the occupiers of Western Europe, and that on this new border between East and West, the Yugoslav partisans represented Russia. At the New Zealand Brigade headquarters, the armed sentries are not there for show. Across the road is a Yugoslav post with a British Bren gun. After Field Marshal Alexander had issued his protest against Marshal Tito's occupation of the city, New Zealand patrols followed the Yugoslav example and went about the streets well armed. For immediate military purposes, New Zealand held this port of Central Europe for the Western Allies. They had tanks on the street corners, infantry in the houses above them. Carrying captured German machine guns, stronger Yugoslav patrols went out. These great fighters were still our allies, but a situation was building up where a dropped rifle, a stray shot, or a moment's loss of temper by just one of the men on the spot could have caused a major tragedy. Solidly, the New Zealand division, supported only by 3 British warships in the harbor, sat out this new war of nerves and conceded that the final fate of Trieste must be decided not by seizure, as in the case of Fiume after 1918, but by the final peace conference. Over the castle of the Duke of Aosta, just outside Trieste, flies the New Zealand flag, for this is divisional headquarters. The men here, like their friends at home, have been wondering just how long they'll have to stay. By their strength in Trieste, the division won their last victory of the German war. Then, in a most difficult situation, by their tact and self-control, they turned to win their first victory of the peace.